Okay, let's unpack this. When you hear the boss, who immediately springs to mind? For so many of us, it's, that guy with the guitar, the bandana, stories that feel like they're pulled straight from our own lives. We're talking about Bruce Springsteen. I mean, he's more than just a musician. He's pretty much an American institution. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the extraordinary and sometimes surprisingly complex life and legacy of Bruce Springsteen. We'll go beyond the big anthems, the sold-out stadiums, explore his personal journey, his artistic evolution, and the surprising facts that shaped the man behind the myth. We've kind of pulled together insights from biographies, fan discussions, music industry analyses, personal accounts, basically give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed about one of rock's greatest figures.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how an artist can become such a, well, less a powerful symbol, yet hold so many nuanced layers right beneath the surface. You might know the songs, maybe inside and out, but have you ever really considered the hidden struggles or those nearly unreleased masterpieces or even the true meaning behind some of his most iconic works? This deep dive, hopefully, will offer you those aha moments, give you a fresh perspective on why he resonates so deeply.
So let's start right at the beginning. His family history is surprisingly diverse, right?
Yeah.
Where do we trace those roots?
Well, yeah, it really is. His paternal ancestors, they were Dutch settlers way back, 17th century New Netherland. The surname Springsteen actually means jumpstone in Dutch. Kind of interesting. And one of his ancestors on that side, John Springsteen, was a patriot in the American Revolution.
Wow, okay. And the other side?
On his mother's side, his maternal grandfather was Italian. He emigrated through Ellis Island, couldn't read or write English initially, but incredibly, he became a lawyer. Bruce apparently saw him as larger than life, made a huge impression.
That's quite a mix. So what about his immediate upbringing? Freehold, New Jersey, right? What was that like?
Yeah, Freehold. His formative years were definitely marked by a complex home life. Grew up in a two-story, two-family house right next to a gas station. Very specific image. His father, Douglas, was described as, well, brooding, struggled with alcoholism, couldn't really hold down a job. Rug mill, cab driver, jail guard, bounced around. Apparently saw Bruce as an intruder, even a fearful disappointment.
Oof, that's heavy. And his mother?
Adele, his mother, she was the contrast. Steady legal secretary, the main breadwinner. But then his grandparents really doted on him. Bruce called it unwarranted freedom.
Huh. So you've got this difficult relationship with the father, but then this adoration from grandparents. How did those early experiences, the alienation, that New Jersey connection, start feeding into his storytelling?
Oh, absolutely. You can totally see the seeds right there. The working class themes, the narrative voice. It's forming even before he's serious about the guitar. He was apparently a loner who wanted nothing more than to play his guitar back in ninth grade. Didn't even go to his own graduation in '67.
Really? Skipped graduation?
Yeah. Briefly went to Ocean County College, but dropped out. And crucially, at 19, he failed his draft physical. Partly a motorcycle concussion, partly just his behavior, likely kept him out of Vietnam. That sense of being an outsider, it was definitely formative. And it's telling, I think, that in '69, when his parents and sister moved to California, he and his married sister, Virginia, they stayed in Freehold. Those roots were already deep.
Okay, so you've got this alienated kid deeply rooted in Jersey. How does he find his voice? How does he start becoming the boss?
Right, the spark, 1964. The Beatles on Ed Sullivan, that was huge for so many people, him included, inspired him to buy his first guitar. Cost like $18.95 at Western Auto.
$18.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And later that year, his mother, Adele, she actually took out a loan for a $60 Kent guitar. He wrote about that later, in The Wish. A mother's belief right there.
That's incredible. So he's got the guitar, he's got the inspiration. How does that translate into actually playing, building a sound?
He started playing locally. Bands like the Rogues, then the Castiles. They actually recorded a couple of original songs, played places like Café Wa down in the Village. There were these early sponsors, Tex and Marion Vineyard. Marion apparently always believed he'd make it big.
So he was bigging, honing his craft.
Exactly, grinding it out. And then came the big break, getting signed to Columbia Records by John Hammond.
The John Hammond. Who found Dylan and Aretha?
The very same. A legendary A&R guy that's artisan repertoire, for anyone wondering. Hammond knew talent when he heard it.
Okay, so he's got the talent, the drive, a legendary scout. But it wasn't instant success, was it?
Yeah. Oh, not at all. The E Street Band, they officially formed around 1972, took the name from E Street in Belmar, New Jersey. Early guys like Clarence Clemens, Danny Federici, they were so central to forging that E Street sound.
That sound, yeah. What defined it early on?
It really emphasized piano, glockenspiel, organ, saxophone, popularizing that sort of wall of sound technique. Very full, very layered. But his first two albums, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jay, and The Wild, The Innocent, and The E Street Shuffle, both came out in '73.
Commercial flops.
Pretty much, yeah. They established what people called his hyper-literate lyric sensibility. These songs were dense stories, almost mini novels. But they didn't sell. Columbia actually considered dropping him.
Wow, after those two seminal albums.
Yeah. Apparently an early mix of Greetings didn't have an obvious single, so he quickly wrote Blinded by the Light, which, famously became a #1 hit for Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Not for Bruce.
That's wild.
Yeah.
The song that could have maybe saved his deal becomes a hit for someone else?
Yeah.
Talk about persistence needed.
Totally. It really tested him. But then came Born to Run.
Right. The Game Changer, 1975.
Absolutely, August 75. And the making of that album was legendary in itself. The mastering process was incredibly intense. There's the story where Bruce hated the initial acetate so much he threw it in a hotel swimming pool.
No way.
Yeah. He's ready to scrap the whole thing until his manager, John Landau, talked him down. And it was Landau who wrote that famous line, "I saw a rock and roll future, and its name is Bruce Springsteen."
That quote was everywhere, right? Must have put incredible pressure on him.
Immense pressure. Bruce talked about the anxiety it caused him, but it definitely signaled something big was coming.
And did the album deliver on that hype?
Oh, it exploded. Peaked at #3 on the Billboard chart. Went 7 times platinum eventually in the U.S. It wasn't just sales, though. It tapped into something. Like the fears of growing old for a whole generation of late teenagers, these anthems of escape, of yearning, it just resonated, catapulted him to worldwide fame. Suddenly, he's on the cover of Time and Newsweek simultaneously.
In the same week.
Yep. That cemented him. The voice of that working class dream, or maybe the struggle for it. Fans still talk about Born to Run as a masterpiece. Thunder Road, Jungle Land, iconic.
So he hits this massive peak. How does he follow that? Does he try to replicate it?
That's what's interesting. He didn't just try to make Born to Run Part 2. He kept evolving, kept challenging. Darkness on the Edge of Town in '78, that was way darker, more stripped down, ferocious almost, really secured his influence, showed his depth.
Right, not just anthems.
Exactly. Then The River in 1980. Ambitious double album. That gave him his first actual top 40 single, Hungry Heart. But then he pivots again. Nebraska in '82.
Nebraska. So different.
Totally different. Just bleak acoustic home recordings, but hugely influential, especially for indie and alternative artists. Showed you could make powerful music basically in your bedroom. And then, of course, the big one, Born in the USA in 1984.
The blockbuster.
Cultural phenomenon. 17 times platinum, 7 top 10 hits off one album. Just massive. Though, as we know, that title track is probably one of the most misunderstood songs ever.
Right. The upbeat sound versus the critical lyrics about Vietnam vets. Politicians co-opting it.
Exactly. A real disconnect sometimes between the chorus and the verses. So you see this incredible range album to album.
It really is remarkable, that consistency, but also the variety. What about the 90s, though? Some people call it his lost decade. Is that fair?
Well, it was different. He dissolved the E Street Band in '89, moved out to LA for a while, released Human Touch in Lucky Town in '92 using session musicians. Fan reaction was mixed, let's say, some dissatisfaction there. Then The Ghost of Tom Joad in '95, back to that stark acoustic feel.
So less visible, maybe. Less E Street.
Yeah, less of the arena rock people expected, but lost. Maybe not entirely. He recently released Tracks 2, the lost albums, right? 83 previously unreleased songs from that era. Shows he was experimenting wildly country orchestral stuff. It suggests it wasn't so much lost, maybe more about him figuring things out, dealing with strategy and fears about public perception, as one analysis put it.
That makes sense. A period of exploration, maybe less public-facing. But the E Street Band did get back together eventually.
It did. Reconvened in 1999. Big deal for the fans. And the 21st century saw him respond to major events, like the Rising in 2002, trying to make sense of 9/11. More #1 albums followed Magic, Working on a Dream. He did the Super Bowl halftime show in 2009.
Right, that was huge.
And then the autobiography, Born to Run, in 2016. Huge bestseller, which then morphed into Springsteen on Broadway.
An incredible run, that show.
Absolutely. Just shows an artist constantly finding new ways to tell his stories, connect with his audience.
So beyond the music, beyond the stage, his personal life seems like his own journey of growth, family, facing down some demons. What does that side reveal?
It reveals a lot of vulnerability, actually. He met Patty Shelfa, his second wife, way back in the early '80s at the Stone Pony in Asbury Park.
She joined the band later, right?
Yeah, she became a backup singer for the Born in the USA tour in '84. They eventually got married in 91 out in LA where they started their family. They've got 3 kids. Evan James, born 90, he's a musician too. Jessica Ray, born 91, she's a champion equestrian. Actually won a silver medal for Team USA jumping at the 2020 Olympics.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And Samuel Ryan, born 94, he's a firefighter over in Jersey City. And Bruce became a grandfather in 2022, thanks to Samuel. They moved back to New Jersey in the 90s, specifically to raise the kids away from the paparazzi glare.
Seems like family really anchored him later in life. Did he talk about that shift?
He's been incredibly candid about it, especially in the autobiography. He admitted he didn't really feel like he grew up until his 40s. Said he had to learn very rudimentary skills about relationships and commitment after his divorce from his first wife, Julianne Phillips, and then marrying Patty. He spent years in psychotherapy working through family baggage.
That takes courage to admit publicly.
Totally. And he has this great line about his kids having a healthy disinterest in his music. He sees that as a sign he did a good job as a father. He said, they don't need a hero, they need a father. Powerful stuff.
That really is. It counters that larger-than-life boss persona. What about other personal struggles? He's been open about depression too, hasn't he?
Yes, very open, particularly later in life. He talked about struggling with it for years, sort of denying it, then really starting to address it in his 30s. He said it intensified into what he called agitated depression when he hit his 60s. He gives Patty Sheldoff a huge credit for helping him navigate that.
How does he say he copes?
His approach seems to be about acknowledging the darkness, not fighting it necessarily, but kind of relaxing with it. He found that often shortens how long it lasts. It's also worth noting he's steered clear of hard drugs his whole life, focused on health. Went from being an underweight fast food junkie, as he put it, to a mostly vegetarian diet, running, lifting weights.
Taking care of himself, mind and body.
Definitely. Though health issues do come up. In September 2023, he had to postpone shows because he was being treated for peptic ulcer disease.
Right, I remember that. So, health, family.
Yeah.
What about other aspects? Religion, finances. Any surprises there?
Well, he talks about maintaining a personal relationship with Jesus, even though he calls himself a lapsed Catholic. He said, once you're a Catholic, you're always a Catholic. Kind of resonates with a lot of people. Financially, it's a fascinating arc. He admitted he evaded taxes early on. Most of his income went to back taxes. Said by his 30th birthday, he only had $20,000 to his name.
$20,000. After hits like Born to Run.
Yeah, seems crazy. But fast forward to 2024, Forbes estimated his net worth at around $1.1 billion.
Billion. Wow, that's quite the journey from $20.
It really is, from financial struggles to, well, billionaire status.
Okay, let's pull back a bit. Thinking about his overall legacy. How has Bruce Springsteen really shaped American culture, American music? It feels bigger than just sales figures.
Oh, much bigger. I mean, the accolades alone tell part of the story. 20 Grammys, 2 Golden Globes, an Oscar for Streets of Philadelphia.
The Tony for Springsteen on Broadway?
Right. Induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame, Kennedy Center Honors, Presidential Medal of Freedom, National Medal of Arts. The list goes on. New Jersey even declared September 23rd Bruce Springsteen Day.
As they should. But beyond the awards, what's his thematic impact?
He's arguably the rock artist most deeply connected with working-class themes, a central figure in what got called heartland rock in Americana. He really put New Jersey on the cultural map in a new way. His songs explore these core American ideas, winning and losing, getting out and finding a better life, but also paying the cost, the loss of the American dream, and later, deeper stuff like depression, sins of the father. He even offered meta-commentary on rock and roll itself, kind of maturing its classic images.
And his influence on other artists who picked up on his sound or his themes.
Huge influence. His sound, especially the raw feel of Nebraska, impacted a lot of indie and alternative folks. I think Bon Iver, maybe. But also his storytelling influenced bands like Arcade Fire, The Hold Steady, The Gaslight Anthem, Very Jersey, The Killers, Cite Him, Melissa Etheridge, even U2. Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine is a huge fan and collaborator. Dave Grohl's talked about Foo Fighters' live shows drawing inspiration from the E Street Band's energy. He's often described, maybe accurately, as more of a synthesizer and popularizer than a pure innovator. But that ability to pull traditions together and influence so broadly, that's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, acting as that touchstone. And we have to talk about the live shows. They're legendary.
Absolutely legendary, consistently ranked among the best live acts ever. These epic 3-hour plus concerts. The set list is always changing, drawing from this massive catalog of over 300 songs. He keeps everyone on their toes. And the stagecraft is interesting. The lighting is designed to reveal all the band members, keep that glorified bar band feel, even in stadiums, but using sophisticated techniques. They extend the lighting out beyond the stage boundaries.
And that thing with the house lights.
Yeah. That's a signature move, especially during encores for songs like Born to Run. They turn the house lights up, making the whole arena feel like the stage, bringing the audience right into the show. It's incredibly effective. And even though key members like Danny Federici and the big man, Clarence Clemens, have sadly passed away.
Huge losses.
Immense. But Clarence's nephew, Jake Clemens, has stepped in on sax, carrying on that legacy. The show goes on.
It's an incredible legacy. But, no legend is perfect. No story is without its complexities. Where do we see the nuances, maybe the contradictions or flaws when we look closer at Springsteen?
Right. It's important to look at the whole person. That St. Bruce image that some fans have, it gets complicated. For instance, he acknowledged in his own book that his relationship with Patti Scialfa began while he was still married to Julianne Phillips. That doesn't quite fit the simple, heroic narrative. There have also been, unverified claims about infidelity that surfaced in divorce papers, which he denied, but it adds layers.
Adds a human dimension, maybe? What about within the band, that band of brothers image?
It's a powerful image for sure, but reality is usually more complex. There was definitely a hierarchy, power dynamics. Bruce was the clear, undisputed leader. Remember, he dissolved the band entirely in 1989, didn't keep them on the payroll during that split. Some accounts suggest he could be, intimidating, maybe selfish at times, professionally and personally. There's an uncomfortable anecdote about him violently pulling an ex-girlfriend out of a crowd during a No Nukes concert back in the day.
Wow, okay. That paints a different picture than just the camaraderie on stage.
It does. And then there's the political side. His outspoken liberal views definitely draw criticism from some quarters, people calling him a rich phony or part of the liberal elite, arguing he doesn't truly represent the downtrodden he sings about, especially when he comments on U.S. politics while overseas.
And that ties into the working class image itself, right? How authentic is it, given his actual life?
It's a major point of discussion and maybe contradiction. Bruce himself has been pretty upfront about it. He said his working class image is in many ways a fabrication.
Wow.
He never worked in a factory and never had a 9-to-5 grind. He drew those incredible stories from his father's experiences, from the people in his town, not directly from his own life in that way.
So it's observational storytelling filtered through his artistry.
Exactly, which raises questions, right? How do we reconcile the powerful image with the complex reality? It forces you to think critically about the myths we build around our heroes. And you can't ignore the role of media sometimes. That John Landau, rock and roll future quote, created massive hype, but maybe also some bias.
Yeah.
Critics championing Bruce, sometimes, some fans felt, at the expense of other artists. It can create misunderstandings.
It's a lot to unpack. So we've taken quite a journey today, from that gas station next door in Freehold, NJ, all the way to global stages. We've explored the layers of Bruce Springsteen, his deep Jersey roots, the struggle to break through, that incredible artistic evolution from the wall of sound to stark acoustic tunes, his personal battles, especially with depression, and this enduring, complicated legacy as an American icon.
Yeah, it really is a journey full of contradictions, isn't it? So, thinking about it all, what really stands out to you? You've got the guy who went from serious financial struggles to being a billionaire, the kid who felt alienated, becoming this voice of connection for millions. What does it mean, for an artist to always seem born to run in their art, always pushing, exploring, but then make a conscious choice to stay put personally, build that family life away from the chaos? His songs are full of winning and losing, the sins of the father. How do you think his own life story reflects and maybe even deepens those things? It just gives you so much to think about, his music and his life. An unending catalog, really.